All right, what do we have here? So Trump and Putin decided to have a bit of a chit chat, a very long chit chat. It was very very long. I think they talked for like what, about 2 hours or some shit. They talked for a long fucking time. But Trump warning of severe consequences if Putin doesn't end war in Ukraine. So he's already done that before, saying that like a pooty poo. There's going to be big problems if you decide not to do anything about the fact that you keep killing a bunch of innocent Ukrainians, and if you don't end the war, because again, like so far, like seemingly every turn where Trump tried to get some progress done on the Russia-Ukraine attempted ceasefire, Putin would basically like tickle his fucking balls, like titillate him with some fucking bullshit, and then it would end up going nowhere because again, like Trump could give less of a fuck about peace. He doesn't care about fucking peace. In reality, he just wants to be a fucking tin pot dictator like Vladimir Putin is. So yeah, what do we got here?
How were your calls this morning with European leaders, and was it your call not to invite President Zelensky to your meeting with Putin?
No, just the opposite. No, no. We had a very good call. He was on the call. President Zelensky was on the call. I would rate it a 10, very, very friendly.
Sure.
I know the leaders because I was at NATO, as you know. I took it from 2% to 5%. 2% that wasn't paid, 5% that is paid, which is trillions of dollars in defense capability. No,
I've already talked about this thing before, but if you really have to push for more fucking defense spending, especially in the time that we're going to be in, that's one of those situations where it's just like, yeah, I don't really like that in particular. Like, why do we have to justify such a ridiculous amount of fucking spending? It's a little sus. It's a little weird. It's almost as if, like, it's more about, so the Donald Trump wants to do, like, some stupid, idiotic version of, like, isolationism and just wants the Europeans to just, like, get bent beyond their own, like, fuck them, who cares, right? Kind of a deal.
it was always going to be I was going to meet with President Putin, and then after that I'm going to call the leaders and President Zelensky. I'm going to call President Zelensky, and then I'll call probably in that order the leaders. There's a very good chance that we're going to have a second meeting, which will be more productive than the first, because the first is I'm going to find out where we are and what we're doing. Again, this is Biden's war. This isn't my war. He got us into this thing, and it should have never happened.
Yeah, even though he sent arms to the Ukrainians, it was the first to start sending arms, well, to the fucking Ukrainians during the time of the Separatist War. So, again, this is about as much your war as it is Biden's war, as it is Obama's war, about as much as it's anyone's fucking war. So, again, nonsense.
This war would have never happened if I were president. But it
Sure,
is what
man.
it is, and I'm here to fix it. And I'm here to stop 6,000, 7,000 people last week. 7,213 people last week were killed, mostly soldiers. But missiles being lobbed into towns don't exactly help either. But mostly soldiers. And Ukrainian and Russian. They're not American soldiers, but...
See, here's the fucking thing. Like, there is no point in trying to legitimize any of this bullshit. Like, the only path forward is to just send as many arms and weapons to the Ukrainians as possible. That's the fucking point. Like, there is no other fucking solution. The Russians have already constantly said that they are not interested in negotiations. They could care less about fucking negotiations. They have never cared about fucking negotiations. The idea that Trump has in his mind that, like, oh, maybe I could have, like, a great deal with Putin. We could be, like, best friends, best pals, you know. I can tickle his balls, he can tickle my balls, and it'll be great, fantastic, excellent, folks, is fucking ludicrous. Like, Putin has never fucking cared about any of that shit.
If we can save a lot of lives, it'll be a great thing. I've stopped 5 wars in the last 6 months. And on top of that, we wiped out the nuclear capability of Iran, obliterated it. It's turned out.
Trying to think which 5 wars. So there's India, Pakistan, which I guess technically he stopped it, sort of. Again, boy meets mini. As far as I can tell, Narendra Modi himself also said that Trump had very little role to play in the peace negotiations between the Indians and the Pakistanis. There's the war between Rwanda and what is Rwanda and the Congo, right? He actually had something there. So, yeah, it was an internal affair. Okay, so he had nothing to do with India, Pakistan. He claimed that there was something going on between the Serbs and the Kosovars, which no evidence suggests that whatsoever. He thinks he stopped the fucking Israeli-Iranian war, even though he was the one who gave Israel the green light to start attacking the Iranians. So he started a war and then he stopped the war, so I might as well fucking throw it in there. What's the 5th one? I don't know, like Russia, Ukraine or some shit? I don't fucking know. Like, nonsense. It's just nonsense, dude.
Not to be a correct word, by the way, because some of the press say, well, maybe it wasn't obliteration. It was obliteration. And we're going to meet with...
Everyone has basically said that it did nothing. The border war? Is he included in this fucking southern border? It's fucking stupid. Whatever.
I would say the second meeting, if the first one goes okay, we'll have a quick second one. I would like to do it almost immediately, and we'll have a quick second meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky and myself if they'd like to have me there. And that would be a meeting where maybe it could be absolutely work. But the first meeting will not work that out. Certain great things can be gained in the first. It's going to be a very important meeting. But it's setting the table for the second meeting. I think the second meeting, if the second meeting takes place. Now, there may be no second meeting, because if I feel that it's not appropriate to have it because I didn't get the answers that we have to have, then we're not going to have a second meeting.
Well, why don't we take a look at some of the highlights of this first meeting? So, why don't we see? Again, the press conference was about 3 hours. They were standing there. Yeah, a whole bunch of fucking nothing burger statements, because again, more than likely nothing was fucking gleaned whatsoever. And as far as I can tell, nothing was fucking gleaned. So, what do we have here? Today, when Trump says that he was the president in 2020 war, there would be no war, and I'm quite sure it would be indeed so. I can confirm it. So, immediately, you can see what Putin's doing. Buttering him up, wrapping him around his fucking finger. He's getting played like a fucking fiddle, because again, this is the exact same talking points. Trump is not a very, very difficult person for world leaders to just manipulate, because he's just an orange, highly narcissistic, sociopathic buffoon who just wants sweet nothings to be whispered in his ear. And guess what Putin's going to do? Just whisper sweet nothings in his ear.
I'd like to remind you that in 2022, during the last contact with the previous administration, I tried to convince my previous American colleague that the situation should not be brought to the point of no return when it would come to...
Again, quick reminder, the justification Putin used in order to conduct the war, saying that the Ukrainians should have never existed, right? That it was Lenin's mistake, that it was Ukraine came into existence, right? Exact same propaganda that a lot of Marxist-Leninists tend to use. Yeah, it makes you think, doesn't it? And it's kind of interesting. Talking about this is a consequence of the collapse of the Soviet Empire, that he wants to rebuild it, that he also is justifying it based on the Ukrainians are of our blood and that is our soil, quite literally using a blood and soil argument in order to justify the special military operation that was going to last 3 days. It's been about 3 years, so... And there's a 3 in there somewhere, so I guess he's technically what he's saying is correct when he says that. So doing this stupid fucking thing, just repeating Trump's talking point, because it is just a talking point, he has as much culpability in terms of the escalation of the war. Again, if Trump wanted the war to de-escalate and stop, he would have done something during his tenure. Again, Kerch Strait incident happened under his fucking tenure. He sent weapons to the Ukrainians, which could have been framed as an escalation, but Putin's never going to really admit to that, because again, he just wants to butter Trump up and just whisper sweet nothings in his ear, because unfortunately he is a buffoon who can be very, very easily manipulated by stuff like that. So that's cool, that's great, fantastic. And I don't know, what else is even to say here besides Trump is a moron who can be very, very easily manipulated, because again, Putin's just going to do what he does perfectly, and that's just whisper the sweet nothings and just say what Trump wants to hear, because again, he's just a narcissist.
Hostilities, and I said it quite directly back then, that it's a big mistake. Today, when President Trump saying that if he was the president back then, there will be no war, and I'm quite sure that it would indeed be so. I can confirm that.
Again, I'm constantly interested, because he says the talking point and then provides no evidence or argument for as to why that is the case, because he would talk with Putin or something. What the fuck that means? What does that mean? That can mean anything. Are negotiations? Are you going to capitulate somewhere? Are you going to do something? Because that'd be a lot of the same shit that Obama did. So it's just what's the argument exactly? The point is that he doesn't have any fucking argument. That's the point.
I think that overall, me and President Trump have built a very good, businesslike, and trustworthy contact.
I'm sure.
And I have every reason to believe that moving down this path we can come, and the sooner the better, to the end of the conflict in Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you.
Sure, man. Totally. This isn't copium, Boy Meets Mini. He's buttering Trump up. He's manipulating him. So that's one of the fucking highlights, I suppose. So what else do we have here? I've always had a fantastic relationship with President Putin, with Vladimir. We were interfered with by the Russia hoax. Yeah, for some reason, he thinks that Putin also suffered for some fucking reason during the Russiagate scandal, even though, like, what was in the Mueller report was corroborated and was fucking true. So, I don't know, just complete, utter fucking nonsense. It's stupid.
Always had a fantastic relationship with President Putin, with Vladimir. We had many tough meetings, good meetings. We were interfered with by the Russia hoax that made it little.
Again, that has nothing to do with Putin, but you're just, it only has to deal with you. Because, again, the Mueller report corroborated evidence, and there were convictions and arrests of people who quite literally participated with the Russians. The Russians you wanted dirt from the fucking Russians, they gave you the fucking dirt, and you used the fucking dirt. Like, that's what happens. Your campaign did collaborate with the Russian government. It was proven to be true.
A little bit tougher to deal with, but he understood it. I think he's probably seen things like that during the course of his career. He's seen it all. But
sure,
we had to put up with the Russia hoax. He knew it was a hoax, and I knew it was a hoax. But what
wasn't a hoax. People got arrested. Like, Paul Manafort literally got fucking arrested for it. But again, this is like standard dumb fuck Trump talking point.
That was very criminal, but it made it harder for us to deal as a country in terms of the business and all of the things that we'd like to have dealt with. But
sure, man, totally. Again, the only reason why Trump loves people like Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin, Nayib Bukele, and Kim Jong-un is because he just wants to be a petty crackpot authoritarian. But it turns out a lot of the American people don't want any of that stuff. So that's a great highlight. So, thank you very much, Vladimir. Next time in Moscow. What do we have here?
To thank you very much, and we'll speak to you very soon and probably see you again very soon. Thank you very much, Vladimir.
Next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll get a little heat on that one, but I could see it possibly happening. Thank you very much, Vladimir. And thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
He's got him around his fucking finger. Got him around his finger.
Thank you so much.
That was the end of it, and they both proceed to leave. Fantastic. So what is it? Let's get a fucking summary here. 5 takeaway from the Trump-Putin summit. Also, what do we have here?
That we haven't quite got there, but we've made some headway. So there's no deal until there's a deal. I will call up NATO.
There's no deal until there's a deal. Sure, man. Like, what the fuck? Like, no shit? Like, I don't know. This is fucking stupid.
In a little while, I will call up the various people that I think are appropriate, and I'll, of course.
So this is like the second part that he's trying to do, that he's like trying to mediate the fucking ceasefires for some shit. It's whatever.
Let's call up President Zelensky and tell him about today's meeting. It's ultimately up to them. They're going to have to agree with what Marco and Steve and some of the great people from the Trump administration who've come here, Scott,
Stooges.
John Ratcliffe, thank you very much. But we have some of our really great leaders. They've been doing a phenomenal job. We also have...
quick reminder to everyone. Trump up front said that there is going to have to be territorial trades and concessions, right? Like, Trump, which is a non-starter for the Ukrainians, right? Territorial trade, Ukraine, right? Like, Trump agreed only Ukraine can negotiate territorial concessions. That's what he said from Macron. Okay. Call with the U.S. president helped clarify Trump's goals. Because, again, he was talking about territorial concessions being made by the fucking Ukrainians. And he wasn't being specific at all as to who was supposed to negotiate the fucking territorial concessions. More than likely, I don't think the Ukrainians are going to want to go along with any of that shit. Like, probably not.
Have some tremendous Russian business representatives here, and I think, everybody wants to deal with us. We've become the hottest country anywhere in the world in a very short period of time, and
every single economic indicator has said that there is more than likely going to be a recession, and that the current U.S. economy is about to head into stagflation.
We look forward to that. We look forward to dealing. We're going to try and get this over with. We
Love
really
making
made
deals,
some
folks.
great progress today. I've always had a fantastic relationship with President Putin, with Vladimir. We had many tough meetings, good meetings.
Dude, this is some of the... Bro, and everyone wants to fucking talk about, like, how sleepy Joe Biden was. Bro, he's so low energy and fucking sleepy here. It's just like... real fucking old man dementia hours here.
We were interfered with by the Russia hoax. That made it a little bit tougher to deal with, but he understood it. I think he's probably seen things like that during the course of his career. He's seen it all, but we had to put up with the Russia. To put it very quickly, I'm going to start making a few phone calls and tell him what happened. But we had an extremely productive meeting, and many points were agreed to.
Well, considering the fact that there's he's been nothing but fucking buttered up, more than likely, if I were to take a guess, based off of whatever they discussed in their meeting, more than likely his dumbass got manipulated and buttered up. More than likely.
There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant. But we have a very good chance of getting there. We didn't get there, but we have a...
Also, I think I mentioned why, like, this sort of meeting was going to be always, like, inherently cooked from the beginning. The thing is that the point of having summits like this is legitimizing fucking Putin's positions in terms of, like, what he wants. When you should not be legitimizing any of it. Again, the only path forward now is to give the Ukrainians as many arms and as many fucking weapons as possible in order to be able to have them be in a better spot to negotiate. When there is, because there's inevitably going to be negotiations that happen. Having the Ukrainians have a well-stocked, well-maintained army with as many fucking weapons as possible, which finally the Europeans are actually picking up the slack on, because Trump's not going to fucking do anything about this, because again, he doesn't give a fuck about any of this shit. Although he's starting to send some weapons, mostly like Patriots and stuff like that. But the point is that, like, Trump cannot be, like, treated as, like, a fucking honest actor in any of these negotiations. Because, again, he's more sympathetic to the Russian position. Like, quite literally.
A very good chance of getting there. I would like to thank President Putin and his entire team, whose faces, who I know in many cases, other than that, whose faces I get to see all the time in the newspapers. You're almost as famous as the boss. But...
Okay, whatever. Old man rambling. But what do we have here? Left the world to guessing on Friday after a historic summit that yielded no details about what was discussed. Again, they have to be purposefully vague for when this is inevitably going to end up with, wow, nothing fucking happened. No deal on ceasefire, but progress made. What progress? Nothing. Trump at the press conference would only tease the fact that the two had a productive meeting and said they agreed on some things but not others, while offering any details of what was discussed. I believe we had a very productive meeting. I would say a couple big ones haven't quite got there. But we've made some headway, so there's no deal until there's a deal, Trump said. Adding that he would be calling European leaders and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky following the summit. It's ultimately up to them. Putin, for his part, stressed that his nation needs to eliminate what he called the primary roots of the conflict. We already know what he means by the primary roots of the conflict. Nazism in Ukraine, quote-unquote. Any evidence of that? No, not really. They point to the fucking Azov battalion, but, like, the Azov battalion is more or less basically gone and does not have a lot of the exact same roots that they used to have before. So that's cool. That's great. Without elaborating on what those were, he acknowledged that some agreement was made, but also did not offer any details. I would like to hope that the agreement that we have reached together will help bring us closer. That goal and will pave the path forward towards peace in Ukraine. Again, you're the one who fucking started the war off of blood and soil fucking rhetoric and arguments. You are the main problem. You want peace in Ukraine? Alright, tell your army to pack up and leave. And that the Ukrainians can have their territory back. Because you're the one who did the invasion to begin with. Stupid. We expect that Kyiv and European capitals will perceive that constructively. Probably not. And that they won't throw a wrench in the works. They probably should. Because, again, this is going to be a complete fucking nothing burger. Like, Trump's just going to capitulate to the Russians for, like, literally no reason. Even though they don't deserve any of that. They will not make any attempts to use some backroom dealings and conduct provocations to torpedo the nascent progress. Sure, man, totally. No mention of several high-stakes components on the table, including the U.S. staving off any further sanctions on Russia, a nuclear arms deal, and security guarantees to Ukraine as part of a peace agreement. Trump also had teased the notion of having a second meeting. So far, no further plans to meet. Trump gave Putin the red carpet treatment. Oh yeah, he did. Like, literally, like, Putin arrives in Alaska, right? It was like, red carpet was like, rolled out and everything, right? And there he is, right? There's the red carpet for this fucking complete utter belligerent. So, that's cool. Fantastic. Like, I don't think I have to reiterate just how much of a fucking embarrassment this is. Like, you should not be fucking legitimizing the shit that this complete utter charlatan is pushing. It's complete fucking nonsense. He's just being completely and utterly just manipulated here. Air Force One arrived at the base first. Putin's presidential plane arriving a half hour later. Both leaders emerged at the same time. Plotted while the Russian president walked to meet him, shaking his hands, giving friendly arm taps while the two exchanged pleasantries before posing. Putin later at the press conference greeted Trump by saying, "Good afternoon, dear neighbor." I wonder why he's saying that. Putin stepped into Trump's armored presidential limousine. Really? Putin stepped into the fucking beast. Interesting. Rode with Trump to the site of the summit of the base. Putin was seen laughing with Trump in the back seat as the motorcade drove away from the tarmac. A rapport between the two as they greeted one another stood in a stark contrast to the sometimes harsh words Trump has had for his Russian counterpart as he struggles to reach a ceasefire deal to end the war with Ukraine. It's almost as if Putin understands that Trump in reality doesn't really mean that because, again, he knows that Trump is really, really easy to manipulate, like, because he's weak. He's weak and pathetic. The meeting gave Putin an equal playing field with Trump. Putin later spoke first at his joint appearance with Trump, giving him the opportunity to set the tone and deliver a lengthy speech about Russian history and the importance of maintaining relations with the United States. Much remains a mystery. Despite the talk of progress on both sides, neither Trump nor Putin offered any indication of how they are closer to a peace deal. The press conference ended before reporters could fill in the blanks. Will Trump move ahead with sanctions to pressure Putin? Because he's been threatening to do that, but he's probably not. He's been threatening to do a lot of shit and then, like, backs off of it immediately. Taco fucking bullshit as always. Are there any plans for a second meeting involving Zelensky as Trump had hoped for? Did they discuss territorial concessions or other contours of a peace deal? Again, because he's talked about territorial concessions. He's brought it up before. Maria Popova, an associate professor of political science, said the ambiguity left two possibilities. First one is Trump actually realizes that this is a no-go and that there is no progress, making it such, like, as I've been saying before, they have irreconcilable positions. This isn't going to fucking go anywhere. This is set to just legitimize Putin for further, and that this was all just a complete utter waste of time. Whoa, crazy. In which case, he may return to the drawing board with Zelensky and European leaders. And the more pessimistic possibility for Ukraine is that Trump tries to force Zelensky to accept whatever terms Putin outlined. Crazy. And when Zelensky and Europe don't want to make a deal, he'll blame them for obstructing peace, and he'll get angry, and he'll say that Zelensky is irrational, about to lose his country. I don't think that's a ridiculous outcome as well, because, again, Trump's a mad king, and he barely understands how anything is, because he's a weak, pathetic man. Speaking of Fox News host Sean Hannity, Trump suggested Zelensky would have to make concessions to finalize a deal. Actually, we're going to get to some of the highlights of the fucking... after summit fucking interview. But whoa, crazy. The side that got invaded and aggressed upon now has to make concessions. Like, does Trump not fucking understand how incredibly fucking weak that makes him look? That he's telling the Ukrainians, it's like, listen, I'm afraid you're gonna have to make some fucking concessions. Incredible fucking weakness. Just giving in immediately to the aggressor, to the imperialist fucking aggressor, who are the main who's the main fucking guy that started the fucking war. He's just like, well, you're gonna have to capitulate. Insane, dude. I mean, a lot of points were agreed on, but there's not as that much as one or two pretty significant items, but I think they can be reached, he said. Now it's really up to President Zelensky to get it done. Why does it have to be up to the Ukrainians? Because again, like, Trump wants to accept no responsibility for the inevitable backlash it's going to have. And I would also say the European nations, they have to get involved a little bit, but it's up to President Zelensky. Great. Fantastic. Carefully choreographed around peace. Friday's meeting was carefully choreographed to boost Trump's image as a peacemaker. Like 7 deals that were all failed with the Iranians. Had nothing to do with the Indian-Pakistani war. I'll give him Rwanda and Congo. He got that one done. Good job. Made up some war between the Serbs and the Kosovars, like, that had, like, no evidence of that whatsoever, but okay, cool, whatever. The White House this week touted Nobel Peace Prize endorsements from various world leaders, such as the heads from Israel, Cambodia, Pakistan, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. Sure, man. Totally. All of them were involved in conflicts that Trump helped end. Oh, it was what did he do in Armenia and Azerbaijan? What, he fucking negotiated some settlement between them over Nagorno-Karabakh? Really? Okay, that's news to me. However, Trump was unable to halt the war in Ukraine or 2 of the world's other major wars, Israel's war with Hamas in Gaza, where mass starvation is taking hold, or the brutal war in Sudan. I always forget about fucking Sudan. Yeah, so, I think it's in southern Sudan, between the RSF and the government forces. The RSF, by the way, who are backed by the Russians, so that's cool. Yeah, whoa, he did nothing about the war with Hamas. Yeah, war with Hamas. It's fucking stupid. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton on Friday said she'd nominate Trump for the Nobel Prize if he managed to broker peace in Ukraine without giving Russia Ukrainian territory. Don't think that's going to happen. Trump insisted the meeting went well despite having nothing to show for it. I'm sure. Copium. It's just copium so far. Like, I don't think there's really much else to say that it's just copium. Christina Hook, an assistant professor of conflict management at Kennesaw State University, said Trump's support for Putin doesn't appear to be working. Whoa, crazy. Trump's talk of progress seemed aimed at generating momentum, but the fundamental obstacle remains Putin refuses to recognize Ukraine's sovereignty or its people's democratic right to choose their future. Whoa, it's the exact same stuff that I've been constantly saying, because again, Putin sees the fall of the USSR as one of the history's greatest sort of failures or defeats, like one of the most pivotal moments of fucking history. And he does not he longs for the restoration of the fucking Russian Empire. That, and he also has a fucking legacy to secure because he's starting to get up in years and is rumored to be having fucking health problems. So again, he wants to conquer Ukraine to have some form of a fucking legacy, or as like a sort of like, I was one of the people who helped along with the restoration of the fucking Russian Empire, or whatever fucking LARP bullshit you can come up with, whatever. Until that changes, diplomacy is largely theater. Yeah. Until the U.S. exerts real leverage to push Putin off his maximalist aims and towards respecting Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity, Russia will choose to grind the war on. The exact same fucking points that I have been saying. Putin's not interested in peace. He never has been interested in peace. So now he's going to call Zelensky and other world leaders. Plan to call Zelensky and NATO allies. Robert Moret, Deputy Director of Syracuse University's Institute for Security Policy and Law, said he was very encouraged by Trump's commitment to keep allies in the loop. Sure, man. He had no anticipation for a dramatic leap forward, a ceasefire, any kind of thing, halfway to a peace agreement. I think this is the kind of outcome that most of them expected. No immediate reaction from Zelensky or European leaders. Probably going to figure that out relatively soon. Trump and Putin briefly discussed the location for the next meeting, next time in Moscow. That's an interesting one. So far, it's just complete fucking nothing burger. Whoa, crazy. Guys, it turns out the current negotiation tactic that the Trump administration is trying to employ, specifically with Putin, is not working because, again, I've said this before and I'll say it again, Putin, fundamentally speaking, is just not interested in peace. He wants to conquer the territory for himself because the point of it is that he wants to have a legacy. That's the point. He wants to conquer the territory for the fact that he wants to build some form of, like, lasting sort of like promise, and also the blood and soil rhetoric, right? He's a fucking ultra nationalist. He wants to fucking conquer territory because he's a nationalist who thinks that Ukraine is the lost little brother, and that the blood of the Ukrainian people is Russian blood, and that the soil of the Ukrainians are that of Russian soil, which is, again, about as fucking Nazi as it fucking gets. About as ultra-nationalist as it fucking gets. So that's cool. Great. Fantastic. We have some fucking highlights from the Sean Hannity interview that Trump had after the summit. So I was very happy to hear him say, if I was president, that war would have never happened. Dude, he's getting played like a fucking fiddle.
There are a lot of people dying. And if we can end that war, it would be very good. And I was very happy to hear him say, if I was president, that war would have never happened.
Again, there's like zero fucking indication. He's just saying that because that's the exact same fucking point. And Trump is a fucking narcissistic fucking loser who just wants adulation from people in power due to the fact that he used to be a fucking laughing stock. That's why.
Mr. President, that was my next question. He said at the joint press conference that if, and you have said this many, many times, and he confirmed for the world today, that if you were president, this wouldn't have happened. Did any of the specifics come up as to why he said that?
It did. It doesn't matter at this point, but that this war should never have happened. You know, a lot of wars should never have happened. There was there were a lot of people.
Nonsense. It's fucking stupid. Again, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Trump, you have about as much culpability in the war happening between the Russians and the Ukrainians as you did with, like, I don't know, trying to stop any of the other fucking wars. Like, again, you sent them weapons, you sent them fucking armaments, and bragged about it, which, you know, you say, like, well, you know, if the war would have never happened if I could do any of that shit. So it's just like, again, he's just wholeheartedly fucking incapable of recognizing, because, again, he's just like a fucking sociopathic narcissist who lies about as much as he breathes, that he, too, also had fucking something to do with the war. You fucking sent weapons and shit and armaments to the fucking Ukrainians, yet now you want to claim that, you know, it would have never happened if I were in power. Yeah, sure, totally, man. I just don't believe that for even 3 seconds. Vladimir Putin said one of the most interesting things. He said your election was rigged because you have mail-in voting. Dude, he's just, again, being manipulated. This is why I'm saying, like, this was never going to go anywhere. It seek to only just further legitimize Russia as an honest actor when they are not, and he's just getting fucking manipulated. It's insane.
Vladimir Putin said something, one of the most interesting things. He said your election was rigged because you have mail-in voting. He said mail-in voting every election. He said no country has mail-in voting. It's impossible.
Which countries have mail-in ballots? We have mail-in ballots every fucking election. Hasn't been a fucking problem. But yeah, how many fucking other countries have mail-in voting, you know? Postal voting available for all citizens on demand. Postal voting available for some/all citizens abroad. So, postal voting available for all citizens on demand. So, we have postal voting. Looks like the Germans, the Polish, same with the Austrians, the British, and for a lot of people, They also have postal voting because a lot of people live in incredibly remote rural parts of the fucking country. Vote crazy, and they want to count their fucking votes. Who would have thought? It's so stupid. There's a ton of fucking countries that have some form of mail-in balloting system. A complete utter fucking nonsense, bro.
Possible to have mail-in voting and have honest elections. And he said that to me. It was very interesting because we talked
He's just bringing this up because of fucking COVID. That's why.
about 2020. He said, you won that election by so much. And that's how he got it. He said, and if you would have won, we wouldn't have had a war. You'd have all these millions of people alive now instead of dead. And
people think that this is an emblem of strength. No. This is the most fucking weak, ineffective fucking bullshit I've ever seen on the planet. Jesus fucking Christ, man.
And he said, and you lost it because of mail-in voting. It was a rigged election. But mail-in voting, Sean, Vladimir Putin said,
actually fucking insane, dude. Even if he did fucking say that, if I believe him for 3 seconds, okay? Because he just wants to, like, suck Putin's cock basically as much as possible because, again, he sees himself in fucking Putin because he wants to also be an authoritarian fucking strongman. That's the point of him fucking doing all this bullshit. The idea that, like, Putin is trying to play to his fucking sensibilities is also fucking completely plausible. I don't deny that whatsoever. Because, again, this guy is a weak, petulant, pathetic old man who can be super easily fucking manipulated. Because, again, all he cares about is having pats on the back, pats on the fucking head from people who are in power. Because, again, he used to be a fucking laughingstock. Part of the reason why he even ran to be fucking president to begin with is because he wanted to prove to people that he wasn't a fucking laughingstock for being, like, an incredibly incompetent businessman. It's so fucking stupid. And it can't be honest, rails against mail-in voting. Again, so fucking stupid.
in ballots. Some people get 5, 6, 7, but Vladimir Putin, smart guy, said you can't.
No evidence at all whatsoever. In fact, most of the people who tended to vote twice in the 2022 election were Republicans. Not the 2022 election, 2020 election.
Can't have an honest election with mail-in voting. And he said, there's not a country in the world that uses it now.
Oh, I would love to.
Bro, we have mail-in voting. The Germans have it. The Poles have it. So many fucking countries have it. There's no country in the world that has mail-in voting besides us. Okay, man.
To see election reform.
We have to do it. I don't know why we're not doing it.
No,
If you bring it up, the Democrats
Voter
don't
ID?
want it. Look, the Republicans want it, but not strongly enough. I mean, they got to want it strong because it can't be honest. It goes through a postman. It goes through somebody else. You know, when you go to a really well-run voting booth, you go in.
In terms of the 2020 elections, every single expert has corroborated and said and given evidence and said that it was the safest, most secure election in history. But yeah, totally. Trump wants to throw all the fucking down the wind possible because, again, he's still salty about the fact that his dumbass got fucking trounced in the fucking 2020 fucking election. It's nonsense.
And you have to hand a card, a picture, or this or that. You don't have everything perfect. You get sent back. Go get it. It's very hard to do something fraudulent with a vote.
Paper ballots.
Mail-in voting, they give you boxes of stuff. You have no idea where they came from.
You are aware, like, he's talking about paper. Dude, what the fuck do you think you write on a fucking mail-in ballot, right? You think it's done electronically or something? It's a mail-in ballot, you fucking moron. What the fuck are you talking about? You know, there's so much different ways that it can be done fraudulently. If the mailman opened the fucking envelope, it would be extremely obvious to see if it was fucking opened and tampered with, you fucking moron. If anything, mail-in ballots are way more fucking secure in comparison to these stupid electronic systems that you morons have. It's actually fucking incredible just how much of a fucking idiot he is.
Mail-in voting, you can't have a great democracy, republic. You can't have it. Well, maybe that's why we're going to end up with a...
This is really funny coming from the dude who asked Governor Greg Abbott to host a special fucking session to do a partisan redistricting of Texas to find him 5 House seats because he's afraid that he's going to get destroyed in the fucking midterms. Nonsense.
Communist mayor in New York. I don't know. He probably is very happy with mail-in voting. But you can't have a great democracy with mail-in voting.
Sure, man. Totally. God, if anything... Mail-in voting, if anything, helps fucking democracy further because it allows more people to be able to participate, you fucking moron. But again, he doesn't want more people to participate in democracy because, again, Republicans have to cheat and have as little people possible participating because they know that if they have more people participating, they're more likely to fucking lose because of how ridiculously unpopular they are. It's so fucking stupid. So, as expected from this, meeting, it ended up going nowhere and probably will end up going nowhere. If anything, this was a huge benefit for Putin because it seeks to further legitimize the fact that he is a fucking honest actor, when in reality, he is not honest. He never has been honest. He never will be fucking honest. And Trump deciding to go along with the sort of gallivanting about with the fucking dictator that is Vladimir Putin is simply going to help further solidify that position that, he is an honest actor. He can be engaged with honestly, when in reality he will always have the fucking knife held behind his back, ready to fucking backstab you at any point in time. So just the idea that you are supposed to treat Vladimir Putin in any sense honestly, like Trump was trying to treat him here as, means that this supposed peace summit was going to be a failure from the fucking start. And it makes Trump look incredibly fucking weak and pathetic that he made himself, get played as a fiddle as easily as it was. Don't think there's much else to say besides he got fucking manipulated. Who would have thought? The weak, pathetic, petulant old man whose brain is leaking out of his ear, who just wants adulation from people in power because they all made fun of him for being a fucking failure, a dipshit, and a fucking loser, well, was easily able to get fucking manipulated. Who would have thought?